Hello and welcome to my year in photography 2022. I've thrown together a very simple quick presentation of 10 pictures I took this year, more or less, and I'm just using this as a personal vlog to discuss my lack of progress as a photographer. So, my name is Dr. Klumber. This is my YouTube channel that I normally stream games on and play games on. I've not uploaded anything for, I think, the whole year. So, if you're here for game content, apologies. But I've changed my interests, I've changed my hobbies. And that's mainly due to the fact that we have moved to Scotland, to be precise, to Angus in Scotland. And it's absolutely beautiful here. And I've had quite a lot of time to develop new things, new interests this last year, year and a half. And a big part of that has been photography. And I thought it would be interesting for me personally to discuss the way that my photography is evolving, the development of my eye, the things that I like, that I don't like. And then maybe I can make another one of these next year and the year after and the year after. So today is the 2nd of January. I had to check there because I've been on leave since before Christmas, so it's all a bit of a blur. But it's 2nd of January, and I think this is a good moment to do this particular video. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go and have a look at some of these images. So this is the first one. This was actually taken in 2021. This is our lovely puppy. She's about 20 months now, I want to say. She's a working Clumber Spaniel and she's absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure you will agree when you see this image that she is lovely and really cute and cuddly and you want to photograph her. And that's what I did. And this shot was actually taken handheld with the Sony A7 with a 55mm lens. As you can see, it was a very wide open, so I think this might have been 1.8, maybe 2. And basically, I just got a lovely shot and really enjoyed the process of photographing her. And that's what triggered my interest in photography again. I've been photographing for a long time with a DSLR and a Sony A200, and then after that with a Sony A7 that I inherited. And I've never really taken it seriously. I've always just had fun with it, and that's fine. And I'm still having fun with it. I'm not saying I am intending to become professional or anything. What I have really got into this year is trying to become better. And this shot is actually a really nice exemplar of that because I will show you what went wrong in this shot, and that's something that I still haven't mastered. The autofocus is on the nose and not on the eyes. So rather than picking up on that lovely green eye there, we are looking at the nose, which is a bit brown and a bit grutty. Still really cute, but not what I wanted. Now, this was manual focus, handheld, so I can be forgiven. And I've tried to improve that aspect of my photography. So this year, I've really become interested in the idea of photographing wildlife and becoming better at that. And I can already tell you now that that's not really worked the way that I wanted it to. Because what I'm learning very rapidly is that photographing wildlife is time consuming. I haven't got a lot of time, I'm working full time again. And it's also really difficult. It's not something you do easily. And the other thing I'm noticing with that is that my camera, the Sony A7, is about 10 years old now, is becoming limited in its ability. So I bought a 200-600 lens, actually behind me there, which is a great lens, and my camera doesn't really make the most of it. It really can't cope with all that image power of that capability of that lens, and it doesn't make the shots I want to make. So another example of that is this crow. So this was one of the first shots. It's a jackdaw actually. One of the first shots I took with a 200-600, and I really wanted to just try it out. So I sat around in the garden, waited for birds to come around. We're very lucky. We've got a river running around the back of the house, and we get all sorts of wildlife. So I waited. We saw this jackdaw, and I decided to take a picture of it. And actually, I'm nowhere near in focus. Certainly not on the eye. But the rest of the bird isn't really in focus either. And that's a theme that I'm going back to when it comes to wildlife photography. So here's another one. And this one I actually did like. Now it's a bit small on the screen, but this was a really nice morning, a lovely morning actually. There's another shot from this morning further on where we went to Montrose and just had a browse around. Me and my wife, we went looking, see if there's dolphins or anything like that. Look at the sunrise, absolutely brilliant morning. And my wife pointed out that this young seagull here was trying to get mum or dad to feed it. And I took over 400 shots. And that's where I triggered a thought in my head. And actually, looking at wildlife photographers online, I realized that everybody does this and I should be doing more of this. So I've been trying to take a shot, get it right, get it in focus, take one shot, and then that's it. That doesn't work with wildlife. It doesn't make the most use of the camera. It doesn't use the capabilities of the camera. And actually, it's a very limiting factor if you shoot like that. You need to shoot continuously till you get the shot that you want, and you won't even know that you've got it. So this shot, as part of this whole series, was only one of about 5 that I really liked. And I think it's come out really well. And although you probably can't see it on this video because it's all compressed, the eyes of the adult gull here are spot on in focus, and everything is just really crisp and clear. The water, the sand, it's a really nice shot. So, knowing that, a few weeks after, we went out to Balgai's Loch, which is, well, I went out to it in the morning again, and I took loads of shots of birds. It's a famous birding spot, if you like, here in the area. Another spot is Montrose Basin, so I'm really fortunate that I've got places where I can try it and where I can shoot. And I didn't get a single shot that I liked, so I shot like 1,000 pictures in an hour and a half, and not a single one of them I liked. So I really have so much to learn with that. This is a shot I took last week, and I think this is a sign of me developing my eye and getting better at understanding what I like and what I don't like in photography. So again, this shot is not in perfect focus, but it doesn't have to be. I didn't need it to be. What this is a depth marker in the Tay near Newborough. We live near the Tay. It's a beautiful river. There's so much going on around it. There's loads of opportunities for good photography. And I wanted to get a landscape shot, but I only had the 200-600 with me because initially the idea was we're going to see if we could find any marsh harriers. We didn't find any marsh harriers, but I took this shot on a whim, and then I realized it's actually a really nice, clean, minimalist shot. The color of the water, of the sky reflected in the water, was perfect, in my opinion. Beautiful blues everywhere. It was really cool. And I think that shot has come out really well. And in fact, I may well go back to this spot with my tripod, which I didn't use for this shot. It was handheld again. But with my tripod, I might get a real sharp rendition of this shot just to replicate it. Of course, when I will try that, the conditions will be completely different. It'll probably be a very different shot altogether. But I did really like this reflection and everything. Nice shot. I was very happy with that. So I'm making progress in other areas. And I think that's partly to do with the fact that I'm shooting more wildlife. I'm getting more used to my camera. I'm used to switching the settings a lot quicker. And I'm actually used to understanding what all the different options are. So I already had a strong understanding. I don't want to say it's a strong understanding, but I understand the triangle of ISO and shutter speed and aperture, and understood what autofocus, continuous and single and all that, but I didn't really know the ins and outs of that. And one of the things that I'm doing now is watching a lot of YouTube from photographers that I really like. So there's so many. There's Gavin Hardcastle, there's Tom Heaton, there's Simon D'Entremont, who's recently come onto YouTube and is really good at wildlife photography. And there's loads others that I really like watching their work, like watching their videos. Someone else I really admire is Nigel Danson, who really explains the way that photography works. And I'm learning from doing that. I'm noticing, I'm picking up the things that they are saying. And I started off watching landscape photographers because I wanted to see videos about Scotland. And now I'm beginning to see other people's work and other photography. And one of the things I see a lot more of is street photography as well, which I really like as well. And I'm beginning to incorporate some of that. So that morning that we shot the gulls, before that we actually stopped by the harbour in Montrose, and that's where I took this shot. And initially I dismissed it because the crop was wrong. So, well, I say the crop was wrong. I think it works best with the crop I put on it. So I took this shot sort of in a hurry. I like the light. I didn't even notice that there's a heron sitting on this railway bridge. But yeah, I just took it and didn't think much of it. And when I came home, and this is something else I'm learning, I'm now using Lightroom Classic or Lightroom in general, and it makes such a difference to my workflow. I used to do everything on Apple Photos, and just doesn't have the same capabilities. And with Lightroom, it's a lot easier to pull out the qualities of your images and to really start to begin to understand what you need to get really nice shots. And I think this is a particularly nice shot, and actually very little editing has taken place here. It's this shot, cropped and slight, I think, exposure adjustment, and that was it. Also, you can see this oyster catcher down here, which I thought was really rather funny. And then later on I realized there's another one right there. So it's actually a wildlife photograph. So street photography is something else that I'm really getting more and more interested in, and I'm actually really enjoying the process of street photography. So this is in Arbroath. We're blessed here in Angers. We've got, like, we call it the 4 towns or 5 towns, whatever you want to call it. There might even be 7, to be fair. But Arbroath and Brechin and Montrose and Forfar are all near to where I live. I can get there in no time and just wander around. And they're really nice, classic old towns. They've all got a real special character, in my opinion. And Arbroath is really famous for its harbour and for smokies. And these lobster pots, or creels as I call them, were just stacked up, and I thought that's an interesting shot for a composition. Now, I didn't want to step in front of it. I couldn't take this head on because it's a working harbour. I didn't want to upset anybody who was working there. So I took it at an angle, and actually I think that really worked well because it draws the eye sort of into the image, in my opinion. And I love this mess of spaghetti at the base of it as well. And this is a picture that I really edited quite heavily, not to the extent of making it unnatural, but I really picked up some colors like the green and the yellow and made it stand out a bit more. And I played a bit around with the dehaze slider, stuff like that, just to make it a bit crisper. And I think that's worked out really well. And then as I was walking along, I also took this shot, and this is also lobster pots, right? This was somewhere else, a different stack of lobster pots. And I took it and I thought, I really like this element here of that yellow sort of, I think that's where they put the bait. I'm not even sure. That might be where the lobster goes in. It could be. I'm generally not fishing in lobster pots very often, as in not. But what I really liked about this again had a very small crop, literally like less than 10%, I think. And it's really abstract. And I really am beginning to think that that's what I like best in photography, is sort of making the world look different. You know it's a picture, but you can't immediately tell what it's of or what the context is or the situation. And I really quite like that about this image. And I was playing around with all these images and I was a bit disappointed. I mean, it'd been weird conditions to do photography because it was raining on and off and all that. But I think this shot has actually come out really nicely. And then my final shot is, I need to keep going because of all the shots I've taken this year, I have taken, I think, about 20 times as many photographs as I have in all the years before. And yet, this is still my favorite image that I shot on an A200, the Sony Alpha 200 DSLR camera, base camera, really simple with a Tamron lens, really simple lens. And I took this shot and it sat in my photo collection for ages. With Lightroom Classic, I imported all my photographs into there and I went through them and I thought, wow, if I crop this, it'll be perfect. And I didn't do anything else to this shot. It's literally cropping off this side of the bridge here. And I think that's just, I love it. I think this is a great shot. And I have a long way to go before I make shots like this regularly. And you know what? That's the joy of photography. So next year, I'm hoping to make a video like this again with shots that I've taken in 23 and just to compare whether there's been any progress, whether I've developed a bit of a style, talk a bit more about gear, maybe, whatever. So let me know if you like this. If you did, then drop a like. If you didn't like it, I don't really mind. You can drop a non-like, or you could have not watched it, which might have been better. Right, my name is Dr. Klumber, and I'm out. Thank you. Bye-bye.